All right, we're back again with Captain Marty. He's got another one of his stories that he's going to tell us today. Marty, what you got up your sleeve for us this time?
You ever been robbed, Justin?
I've been robbed of like a home run before, like playing baseball, and like I thought I hit a home run, and yeah, if that's what you're talking about.
No gun involved though, right?
No, I don't believe so.
Well, I'm going to tell you a story about being robbed at gunpoint with my summer savings from my first year on the Outer Banks. I'll be right back to do that.
Teach's Lair Marina in Hatteras Village is the closest spot on the Outer Banks to the Gulf Stream. Just inside Hatteras Inlet, Teach's Lair is fully loaded with bait, tackle, ice, snacks, and drinks for your fun-filled day out on the water. Want to get rigged up to catch the big one? Lee and the gang in the tackle shop can outfit you to catch whatever is eager to get hooked. To see the marina, the tackle shop, or to book a charter, go online to teacheslair.com. Teach's Lair Marina in Hatteras Village. Your fishing venture awaits.
Real. That's the first word that comes to mind when I think about Outland Seafood in Mans Harbor. Yeah, they're the first and last place you see coming to and leaving the Outer Banks on Highway 64 in Dare County, but they're also real when it comes to fresh local seafood. Troy Outland, real. Curtis and Josh, real. The indoor crab shedders, real. Stop by and see for yourself right next to White Shopping Center and check them out on social media. Outland Seafood in Mans Harbor, real.
So the way this happened, right out of high school, as you know from other stories, I came up here and spent the summer in Hatteras. People in Hatteras, I'll never forget the acts of kindness that were shown to me by Arnold Tolson and Buddy Hooper and Emery Dillon, and that list could go on and on and on. A lot of older parents that were empty nesters, their kids were moved up, gone to college, married. They would invite me over to their house because I lived out of my van. I had a Dodge, no, it was a Chevrolet van. Back in those days, too young for you to know, but everybody had murals painted on the side. We had the wide top. It's like a ZZ Top.
Oh, Lord,
thing,
okay,
you know?
okay.
And I had that van, had a bed. I built a bed in the back of it, knowing that I was coming over. My mother, before I left, had packed the whole underneath side of that bed with canned goods. And I mean, it's like her son was going to war or something. The day I got out of high school, the day I graduated, the night I graduated, I got my diploma, walked across the stage at the High Life Fronton across from the Speedway in Daytona, which is where, you probably don't know what a High Life Fronton is.
No, not exactly.
It's a Spanish sport that they play in Florida. And anyway, so it was a big indoor arena, and got that and drove all night. Spent my whole first summer mostly living out of that van. Couldn't find a place to live. On the very first day I was there, I met this guy that went on to do pretty good things. We started on the same day. His name was John Bayless, and he was really inexperienced. He'd been working in a Krispy Kreme donut place in Denver. Anyway, that's another story for another day.
Okay.
I got to add that one to my list too. But I lived in the van in the Hatteras Harbor Park parking lot, which you and I were just down there. Mm-hmm. And John Coleman, who ran the operation, said, "Look," he said, "You can use the showers. There's a laundromat in there. You can park in the parking lot around this side of the building. No one will run you away." And I lived in that van, you know. So I struggled to find a job. I was right out of high school. I was like 17. And I finally found some work and made some money, but I spend it not flagrantly, but it just cost money to, buy Coleman stove to cook on. And I camped out pretty much the whole summer. And but I did gradually, the last week of that summer, Buddy Hooper said, "Come on and fish with me on the Sea Whisperer. Bull," his mate, Bull Tolson, is going away on vacation. "You come on here with me before you go home. You'll make a good week's work." And, remember, my whole goal was to catch a blue marlin. So on the last day, we did finally catch a blue marlin. We put it in the boat, 106 pounds, with Dr. Trenton. Can you believe I still can remember that from 1975?
Yeah.
Thrilled to death. Sawed the bill off the marlin and put it in my truck. And I had to literally drive all night long because I had to go back. At that time, I was still in college. I had to go back to school like in a day or two. So it was like I stayed as long as I could possibly stay. The last day I caught the blue marlin. Went home on cloud nine. So I'm driving down I-95, and back then I-95 still wasn't finished around when you got down around in Georgia Brunswick and in that area.
Okay.
You had to get off at 95 and get back on. And anyway, but I was driving all night long, and about, I guess, 1 in the morning or so, my brakes started going out on my truck. And I pulled off the side of the road. I looked at them, and they were glowing red.
Ooh.
That's not good. And I had my summer savings. I had a little bit of money in my wallet, but most of it, now I'm going to tell you, it was $375. I'd been there the whole summer. And, of course, back then, that was a little bit of money.
Yeah.
Anyway. So I hid it under a little set of dresser drawers I had in my van. So I thought, oh, gosh, what am I going to do? I'm going to pull in the rest area, and I'm going to have to, wait in the morning, go into Brunswick and see if I can get my brakes fixed to get the rest of the way home to Daytona Beach. And I thought, I was thinking, I'm going to park between 2 tractor trailers because that would be safer. There'll be something there. And a lot of people know this rest area. It's the one just on the north side of Brunswick. It's a big one, and I cannot go by that rest area now without thinking about the rest of the story I'm getting ready to tell you. So I'm going to take a little break right here. I'll come back and tell you why you should never park in the back of a rest area.
What could possibly be more fun than watching a bottlenose dolphin swim and play in the water right beside you? Hop aboard Harbor Star Dolphin Tours at Wanchese Marina and witness this remarkable animal up close. The Harbor Star is a spacious 50-foot vessel with a wide, shady canopy that runs 2-hour trips multiple times a day, including a breathtaking sunset cruise. To book your tour, go online to wanchesemarina.com and click Harbor Star Dolphin Tours. See the majestic bottlenose dolphin up close with Harbor Star Dolphin Tours.
So what happened was I pulled between these 2 tractor trailers, crawled on back in that old bed in that van. I think I had some beanie weenies at 1 in the morning, and I went to sleep. And so, no cell phones, and no way to call Dad unless you went into the payphone or whatever. By the way, kids, a payphone is this thing you used to put quarters in.
Oh, yeah.
To call. You ever remember them?
I kind of remember them. I feel like I saw one in a museum not long ago.
So I'm in there sound asleep. I must have been dog tired. And I'm just thinking, well, when I'm going to have to wait to go home to see what the deal is. So went to sleep, and then about an hour or so later, I was in a deep sleep, and somebody was banging on the door of my van. And it had the sliding doors with no windows, so it was kind of like enclosed.
Right.
And I looked up, I got up, I had gone to sleep wearing my blue jeans and a shirt. Mm-hmm. I got up and looked out the passenger window, and there was a guy there with his hair in a ponytail and holding a badge at the window of my van. Open up, Brunswick Police. And that's all I saw was just a badge. So he said, Brunswick Police Narcotics is what he said.
Oh, Lord.
He said, so I thought he's an undercover cop, So I opened that sliding door on the side of my van and kind of stumbled out. You know how you are when you just wake up?
Yeah.
Happened to both of those tractor trailers were gone. All the tractor trailers were. I was out in the back parking lot by myself. I never even heard them pull away, So he says, we're looking for a white GMC van that's running drugs up and down 95. And my van was a Chevy, and a cop would have probably known the difference. There's not much difference, but they would have probably known.
Yeah.
It says Chevy in big letters.
Right.
So I said, well, you got the wrong person. I'm here with my brakes are worn out. I'm just trying to wait for daylight. I gave him way more information, not knowing. I thought he was a cop.
Yeah.
He had a badge.
Right.
And a leather holder. So he said, well, look, you're good. You can go back to sleep if you want. You'll be all right till daylight. I'll let people know that you're in the parking lot. So I said, okay, well, thank you. And he left. He looked at my ID too. And he went through all the motions of a cop.
Right.
So he left, and I shut the door and I crawled back on that bunk, but I was uneasy. I couldn't just fall back asleep because I knew the trucks. I thought other trucks would come in or whatever, and I was like half in sleep, half out of sleep. And about another hour, it's about 3:00 in the morning. Bang, bang, bang again. Open up, Brunswick Police Narcotics Division. And I looked, and it was the same guy. This time he had a gun, and he was showing the gun. He had it up in the window, and he says, open up right now. So some of this is very personal, so it's difficult to talk about, but I opened the door, and he made me step outside the van and put my hands on the side of the van. He said, don't move. Then he went in there and he started going through the little dressers I had in there, going through the dresser drawer, knocked it over. Maybe he really was looking for drugs, but he went and knocked it over and found my Ziploc baggie with my summer savings. And he said, I'll be keeping this. That's what I knew. At that moment, I knew I was being robbed. So then he took a knife. He had a knife on him, and he cut my mattress open in the back, which tells me he absolutely was looking for drugs, found a little bit of money in the process, thought, a young guy in a hippie van probably got some drugs.
Yeah.
But this time, he backed out of the van. He says, now get in there and sit on the side of your bed. And I'm like, okay. And he says, now take all your clothes off. And when he told me that, I was like, oh, this is the personal part. I said, this is going to be bad. So he's got a gun and he's pointing it at me and he's got a knife. So I got undressed. I thought I was going to die right there in the rest area. I wasn't worried about my money. I was really worried about my life. He took my clothes and said, now, if I were you, I would get back in your car, brakes or no brakes, and I wouldn't stop till you got to Florida. And what he did that for, by taking my clothes, when he left, I couldn't run into the rest area hollering for help.
Yeah.
Naked.
Yeah.
Pretty smart,
I guess so, yeah.
And so when he said, don't you move off that bed for 30 seconds, and then if I were you, I'd drive. And let me tell you, he didn't have to tell me that but one time. And so I jumped in my van, I started it, and I drove to Florida with no brakes on the interstate. And what I should have done is try to find my way into Brunswick, Georgia. I was so scared. All I wanted to do was get back in my home state.
Right.
Georgia was scaring me bad. So I got into Florida, and I did manage to get off the side of the road, and I had a little bit of brakes. I called my father, who called the cops, and the Jacksonville police came and interviewed me. Anyway, that guy had been robbing people on that stretch of interstate for days, and they'd been trying to catch him, and I was just the latest victim. My father drove from Daytona Beach up to Jacksonville, and together we got my van into a repair area. But all that hard work and my little meager summer savings and everything else went down the tube. And I will tell you, I have often said the rest areas are okay if you stay in the front, and most of them down there now have 24-hour security, which is a lot better. But don't go parking in the back of a rest area unless you're asking for trouble. So that's the story. Maybe some young person will learn from that. When you're 17 years old, that's a lot.
Oh, yeah.
That's my story for you.